Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Got me? I apologize about that. I had some crazy shit pop up, and then I said, fuck it. You guys got to wait.
Oh man, that means the world to me. You have
I
no idea,
appreciate you,
man.
man. I hate bailing, especially last second. So I just told those motherfuckers they got to wait.
You ready? I got I
Rock and
got
roll.
I got a sidebar for you, okay? I got to read this. So I own a handful of companies, all right? And I got this email yesterday. I told my wife, I'm like, this is comical. I need you to respond to it. Here's how it starts. First of all, I love your ice cream. I was at this location around 1:30 or so, and the young man that waited on me and my friend was very helpful. There was another guy that was there, friendly enough, bigger guy. He was wearing a shirt that I thought was inappropriate for your type of business, or any business for that matter. The back said lions over lambs, and the front said give violence a chance. I truly believe there's enough negativity in this world that we should not be propagating it, and you should create a slightly more stringent dress code for your employees. Sincerely, Marge.
Marge. Oh, bless you, Marge. Bless you. And the Lord pour his richest blessings upon you, Marge. Number one, if you can't even read the three words that are on the back of the shirt, which are really simple lions, not sheep, maybe you just start there,
Yep.
Marge. I mean, I'm sure that life's a struggle, reading, comprehension, things like that. But, leave the violence to the people that actually appreciate it and understand it, number one. But number two, remember next time, Marge, when you call 911, for whatever your issue is, whether you are violently in a car crash or whether someone's in your home attacking you, that you will expect the men to show up and actually be okay with violence to protect your life.
Very interesting. I get this second email from my wife and I. We got four little ones, our oldest in middle school. And it's this big, long, dear parents and guardians. The kids are acting out, atmosphere, et cetera, right? The whole thing. We need to create an environment, et cetera, et cetera. This came after Marge's email. I wrote back with my wife on the thread to the middle school. You know what I said?
What?
Give violence a chance, ladies and gentlemen.
It's as deeply rooted in our DNA
Brother.
and needed as the air that you breathe. A lot of people don't understand it, and the people that don't understand it are the people that have never actually experienced it. Because the truth of the matter is, most people are numb, most people are asleep, most people truly are sheep. They don't understand it. They've never had to understand it. And at some point in time in life, I'm very convinced of this. Everyone will face a situation where violence is literally the only thing that actually keeps them alive and or safe. And I think at that point in time, that's when, good old Marge would be like, oh, well, wait a second. Maybe I should have learned how to kick some ass. Maybe I should have learned how to shoot a gun. Maybe I should have learned how to, carry a firearm and whatnot. But, God bless them.
God bless Marge. No, it's right.
God bless them.
I just had this conversation and I'd love your opinion on it. And I can say this in very few circles unless I elaborate and people get offended. I spent 17,520 hours finding life 2.0 inside of a 6x9 concrete cell. Okay, brother. And prison politics typically reigns supreme. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If my 2-year-old is molested by an adult man, I will cut that man's head off. You and I will probably grab a burger, and I'm going to sleep probably around 9:30 tonight. Prison politics reigns supreme because when you roll in as a child molester to the prison yard, that's how you're dealt with. And it's very difficult for folks, to your point, this violence idea. People think that guys are just running around like these Fruit Loops in LA that are beating people up. That's not what we're talking about. It's not even what your mantra is.
Yeah. But I mean, you look at Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, I love the guy. He illustrates it and orates it very well. He talks about you should become a monster.
Yes.
You should literally become a monster and have that monster under voluntary control. And what most people don't understand is that, literally breaking it down, breaking violence down to the simplest reality. It's how we live. I mean, literally, if I dropped you 5 miles off from my home in the mountains of the Rocky Mountains here in Utah, there are hundreds of creatures that would have no problem eating you.
Yeah.
but I'm a conservative and I'm a liberal and I love Jesus and I go to church and Jesus is my homeboy. They don't fucking care. A mountain lion will shred you and your family without even thinking about it. Your lunch, your dinner, you're a fucking snack. What will you do when you're just out hiking in the woods, enjoying your Sunday afternoon, and you get attacked? What will you do when evil comes through your door? Now, I know that we all want to be like kumbaya, let's just eradicate evil, but so long as there's human beings on this planet. So I choose for me, for my family, for my tribe, to very, very clearly illustrate a message that I carry a weapon on me, not because I'm scared. I carry a weapon on me because I'm not scared. Because when I walk into a room, when I walk into a theater or a supermarket and I pull up to a stoplight, I know that I've trained my body and trained violently to protect myself and my family. So I'm not scared. So if some asshole decides to come in to the sandwich shop or try and carjack me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You should have picked a different restaurant, a different car. That's how I look at it. That's why I live in peace. That's why I sleep very, very soundly. And I do so with a 45 next to my bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. Speaking of tribe, I want to dive into this real quick. You and I both served the mission. We have that background in common. I love that your daughter's on one right now. Much love, and I hope that God watches over her. I want to dive into tribe really quick. I have this thought, and I've put it into that culture that you and I are both familiar with, and I'd love your opinion on it, especially as it relates to the hundreds of thousands of individuals that are going to be watching this. Oftentimes when you hit rock bottom, you look upwards and there is, some benevolent being, God, Jesus, whoever these people might look to. My thought is this: Jesus, when he was resurrected, chose to come back with the nail prints and the scars. What you and I were taught as young children, and I still believe, when we're resurrected, not a hair of your head is to be lost. We're supposed to come back perfect. So this man came back with his scars. And the reason he did was because his tribe said, wait a minute, this can't be the guy unless I see those scars. And so I believe, I submit to the world, if we're to be like that guy, why don't we lead with our scars?
Amen. My evolution in faith, my evolution in my relationship with deity has been quite interesting. It's been quite beautiful. My daughter is serving a Mormon mission, and 20 years ago I served a Mormon mission. I grew up Catholic. I was Catholic for 17 years. And I spent 2 years as an ordained minister, and I've spent countless hours studying the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible and the Book of Mormon and the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Quran, and sitting at the feet of other religious men and spiritual human beings. And it's been an interesting reality for me because I have built this is literally my office. This is a custom piece that was done by my dear friend, Scott Travis. And I have many pieces of Jesus, and I have a very, very dear relationship with him. But years ago, I realized that I had been subscribed for most of my life to a religious dogma and a very specific way of being. And that way of being is what had been passed down to me through the generations. Most people listening to this have never actually done what Jesus did, which is go into their own wilderness. I mean, he spent 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness doing what? We don't know, other than communing with God. Was he eating mushrooms? Was he drinking ayahuasca? Was he just sitting around? Was he eating bugs, snails? Was he smoking a hookah and cigars? Who the hell knows, right? But I chose a number of years ago to kind of step back from the books and the dogma and the religion, and I find no fault with them. I cast no stones at any of them. I just chose to go create a relationship with deity, and something that I shared as a missionary, I still share today. It's like, look, if you want to know about a Ferrari, don't go ask a Porsche guy. If you want to know about a Ford, don't go talk to the Chevy guy. If you want to know about God, you can ask me, and you can ask you, and you can ask your Baptist minister and your who. Why don't you just go talk to God? And so I found a lot of clarity and a lot of beauty in the relationship that I built directly with deity, and really mirroring and understanding what Christ's mission was here on earth and what he really did. We talk the atonement and the savior of the world and there's all these other things, but I broke it down to the simplest reality that if Jesus was around today, he and I would be sitting having a conversation, smoking stogies. I mean, he was a guy, he was a man, he was just like you, he was just like me, and he came here and he had a mission, and we can put whatever mantle we want, savior of the world, this, that, and the other. I think what Jesus did is he showed us what's possible. He showed us, and when you say perfect, not a hair on your head, I believe we're already there. I believe that we're already there. I believe that every single thing that you've done, that you've experienced, that you've witnessed in life, whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, whether you're in a jail cell or in a $1 million mansion, has given you knowledge. And knowledge is perfection. I know that this red hot stove will burn me if I touch it because I've touched it. And I know that. And so as I've witnessed with deity and witnessed with God, I mean, he's showing me like, look, you're here for a reason, man. Stop focusing on these things. Get out of the mire and literally carry your cross and pick this megaphone up that I'm giving you to preach and to speak. And it's been a really fascinating experience for me. It's been a fascinating experience, kind of taking everything I thought I knew, setting it to the side and saying, all right, God, teach me, talk to me. It's what he did with the prophets of old. It's what he's doing today for the men that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear.
I love everything about that, brother. Let's talk about brutal honesty. You speak about it not only internally with yourself, but you're talking to a lot of people who have a lot of time to spend in their own mind. You talk about those 40 days in the wilderness, and one of the critical pieces that I teach, and I'd love your perspective on, is brutal honesty with your significant other.
What's your question?
My question is, how do you develop brutal honesty with your significant other?
It's actually the simplest thing you can do. There's no way to develop it. You either tell the truth or you don't. It's really that simple. Like, and this is where so many people go wrong. So many couples go wrong. So many individuals go wrong, is they think like, well, how do I become honest, or how do I tell the truth? You just fucking do it. Do you like this outfit that I'm wearing? Yes or no? I gotta say yes because I don't want to hurt her feelings. That's not what was asked. What was asked is, do you like this? And if the answer is no, then you say no. And if you're with someone who wants to live that level of transparency and vulnerability, they then will respect that. I ask my wife a question, not to lead her or to get around about, this is my question, give me the truth. That's all I'm interested in. Yeah. My wife and I had a we've both been married before, and we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary back in February. But when we were dating, it was really simple. We were committed, fiercely committed, and made an agreement to truth above our emotions. Now, we're both highly emotional people. My wife is a very emotional woman. I'm a very emotional man. I go up, I go down. She goes up, she goes down. But we both had been in life in a situation where we were always questioning. We were always wondering, is this real? Is this not? Are you saying this because it's the path of least resistance? Are you saying this because you don't want to hurt my feelings? Or are you saying this because it's truth? And when she and I were dating, I mean, our rules, we have very few boundaries and rules, but the number one rule is, I will always tell you the truth. I will never lie to you. I might hurt your feelings. I might say something that you don't want to hear, but you will know that it's the truth and it comes from my heart. And I think that a lot of people are really confused at what that looks like and what that should be like, because we've been programmed to be nice. We've been programmed to not hurt anybody's feelings. We've been programmed, and this goes all the way back to the origin of Lions Not Sheep and the origin of how you and I were raised. We were programmed to lie. Every single person listening to this, I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, rich, or poor, every one of you was raised the exact same way. It doesn't matter if you were in $1 million house or in a fucking trailer or in a fucking park bench. You were raised the exact same way. You were raised in a culture and a society. Many of you were raised religious, but everybody went to either a public school or a private school. Most of you had parents. Some of you had single parent. We were raised to lie. We were programmed to lie. Sit down, quiet down. This is what good looks like. This is what bad looks like. If you do these things, you'll go to heaven. If you do these things, you'll go to hell. Don't say anything that's going to offend anybody. Don't offend the teacher. Don't offend the kids in class. Don't offend the minister or mommy or daddy. And so if you deeply ingrain that in a child's brain, then what they're doing is literally walking the path of least resistance. Why do you think it is that literally men are killing themselves at an all-time high right now? I'll tell you exactly why. It's not because there isn't any money out there. There's a lack of pussy. More men are killing themselves than ever before because they are trapped inside of this life of lies. They don't know how to share how they really feel. They don't know how to say, I hate my life. I hate my wife. I hate this thing that I've built. They don't know how to say, this job sucks ass. I don't know why I'm here. And deeply, like most men will say, oh, no, you ask a guy, how you doing? 9 times out of 10, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, you know, just rolling along and just dealing with the shit. And then all of a sudden you hear about the guy that fucking blows his brains out. And you're like, wait a second. I just talked to him the other day and he said he was good. Yeah. We don't know how to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Men and women don't know how to tell the truth. I joke about this, but I'm dead fucking serious. I did a podcast and my wife and I are getting ready to do another one. The other day, my wife was like, you know, hey, how can I help you today? What do you want today? I just said a blowjob. Now it's funny because when I say that, and I was in a room with a bunch of people and they were like, oh, I don't know how to respond to that. Should I chuckle? Should I not? Is it weird? I just literally, my wife asked me, what do you want? And I said, this is what I want. And the beauty is like, we've built this dynamic in our relationship where that is the truth. And that's what happens. Yeah. But when I say that, people say, well, that's, you know, what about the romance? And what if she's not in the mood? And what if that, what, blah, 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 all the what ifs. We're not talking about what ifs. We're talking about truth. Yeah. And so many men are afraid to say these types of things to their women. So many women are deathly afraid of opening themselves up to their man. And so there's this stalemate of men and women just lying to each other, wondering why we can't go deep, wondering why we can't do this. And then what happens? What do? We look outside. She starts banging the pool boy. He starts becoming addicted to fucking porn because we simply won't tell the truth. It's the great common denominator. It's the thing that will free you the most. It will get you what you want in your relationship. It will connect you with a human being like you've never been connected before. And candidly, it'll make you fucking wealthy. It will make you wealthy. But it's the thing that we do the least.
And so how do you unprogram that? How do you unprogram that? And I know you say it's just doing it, right? I mean, and I was with Jordan Peterson 3 nights ago, and he talked about rule number 8, right? Don't lie, or at least tell the truth, right? Like get to a point where it can just be a knee-jerk reaction, this normalcy for you. Right. But to your point, we live in the right. You can't wear this because Marge is livid again, right? I can't go to the band concert in it tonight. I can't. And so do I become uncomfortable being a quote unquote outlier, or do I find a tribe like you and a tribe like I?
If you don't shine that light, who will? Let me really think about that for 2 seconds. People say to me all the time, Sean, you're so controversial, or you're this, you're that. Why? Because I share my truth? Yeah. Because I tell you how I feel about school shootings, because I tell you how I feel about the president and inflation and my children and these other things. It's because I tell you how I feel. I tell you that I love making love to my wife and fucking the olive and shit out of her, because I tell you the truth, because I share with you what's real. Why is that so offensive? I'll tell you why. It's because when you're in a place that's been numbed and dumbed down, someone that looks different, smells different, acts different is the outcast. It's the outlier. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, like, people have said to me, I had a friend say this to me years ago, and it really helped me understand, because I, for a long time, tried to be quiet. I tried to simmer down. I tried to slow down. I was very much in the church, and I was like, God, I can't say these things. And I just need to say what everybody else is saying. And I hated my life. And he's like, dude, you're kind of like a light switch. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you remember when you were in high school and back in middle school and the middle of the winter, and mom would come in and it's cold outside, and she'd flip the lights on and you'd like pull the covers off you to go to school. And you're like, oh, mom, shut up. Want to grab the covers and cover back up. So you're kind of like that. And when you shine the light into darkness, what happens? Oh, God, get it up. Turn it off. Turn it off. I want to be comfortable again. Bring me back to the darkness. So if I don't shine that light and you don't shine that light and we don't speak these truths, then who will? What will happen? The darkness will continue to just be the only thing there. But what on the flip side will happen? The second you flip the light on, the second you turn the light on, the second you start shining light, what happens? People hate it. They don't like Jordan Peterson. They don't like me. Now, millions do like me. Millions do like Jordan Peterson. But what happens? As soon as the light gets flipped on, the lying husbands and the cheating wives and the lying wives, they don't like it. They don't like the truth. It hurts their eyes. They don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. So naturally they do what? They rebel against it. They fight against it. They shame it. They damn it. They tell me that I'm this freak. I've been called everything under the sun. I've been labeled everything you could label me. Racist, misogynistic, homophobic, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because I just share my truth. But my challenge to you and to everybody listening to this is, it's not just the Sean Whalen show. It's not just me popping on here. It's like, if the adversary was fighting, which I think we would both agree he is,
Yeah.
Who's fighting back?
Mm.
If we know that the adversary is waging war, which he is doing, who's actually fighting back? I'm sick of social media. Everybody going, can you believe they're letting strippers in here and transphobic, and they got, trannies running around in kids' libraries and all this other shit. Yet mom and dad are kind of going, well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to upset the PTA. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're just as bad as the adversary. Who will fight back? Who will rise? Who will shine the light? Newsflash. Most people didn't like Jesus.
You're
Jesus
right.
was a fucking freak. He
An
was
outlier.
a freak. He walked from town to town. He didn't have really anything. He'd sit on the side of a mountain and on a rock, and he'd start teaching these weird things and these weird, obscure lessons. And people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Think that through. If Jesus Christ was here today walking down the street, 99% of you listening to this would walk to the other side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
If a dude came out here in this park across from my office and sat in the grass and started sharing a message, people would call the fucking cops.
Yep.
They'd boot his ass out. That's exactly what Jesus was. And most of the people listening to this are trying to fit in with the fucking losers. You're trying to fit in with the darkness because you're too damn scared to stand and shine a light. You're too damn scared to share your witness and your testimony. So what do? You do nothing and say nothing, which makes you nothing but darkness.
Full, bro. Okay. Vision. You posted this the other day. My vision is so big, and I love when you post about how your vision is so uncomfortable, right? Talk to these people about right now, because people just think you landed on this mountain. People think you built this $100 million brand. It was easy. Okay, blah, 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 right? This is uncomfortable. This is lonely. To have a vision as big as you have and as big as I'm chasing you to have, this is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that it's a nightmare. I would say this. I heard this quote a long time ago. I don't know who said it. So whoever said it, we can credit them. Take a giant fucking bite and figure out how to chew it.
Mm.
Like take a giant bite off more than you can chew and figure out how to chew it. I spent a vast majority of my life doing what I was told. I was the sheep. I spent most of my life very religious. I had the 9-to-5. I built the business. I had the white picket fence and the family and the houses and the car and the whole thing. And I did what I was told. I said what I was supposed to say. And at the end of the day, like, I realized I hated who I was. If anybody's read my book, and talk about how I got to a place where I was so fucking depressed and didn't know who I was, and I almost killed myself.
Will you talk about that?
I was so lonely in my own world, in my own island, that I almost killed myself. I put a 9mm in my mouth one night and drank myself to oblivion and almost blew my brains out. The truth of the matter is, for me, like, I look at it now and I realize that God woke me up today. Like, I don't care where you are, friend. I don't care if you're up or down, you're rich, it doesn't fucking matter. I know that God woke me up that day, and I had a 9mm on my pillow and a bottle of whiskey on my nightstand. And it sounds kind of like the cheesy story, but I remember thinking to myself that day, the only thought that I had is, I don't want to die. It wasn't, hey, how do I build it? I had no followers. I had like 100 fucking people on Facebook. My mom was the only one that ever commented on my shit. I'd flipped thousands of houses. I burned my entire world to the ground. I'm sitting in this fucking shithole 2-bedroom apartment while my ex-wife's living in a 9,000 square foot house. And I was like, I just don't want to die. I knew that I wanted to live, but I had no clue who I was, what I was here for. Was it to make money? Was it to lead? Was it this? And I literally went on a journey. I went into my own wilderness. I closed all of the books. I said, fuck everybody. Fuck all of you. God, what do you want from me? Why am I here? Why am I here? And I found people, and people started coming into my space, and I found mentors and coaches, and I was challenged by these people to start sharing. Like, I don't want to share. I'm scared. I don't like being judged. I made millions. I lost millions. I was terrified of who I was terrified of my own shadow. It's ironic now people see the movement and millions and things and then whatever. And it's like, I was terrified to share on social media. And so I was challenged by a coach to start, and I hated it. I've left specific videos on YouTube that are dated 2012, 2013, like, because that was when I was balls deep trying to figure out who the fuck I was. And I was in the middle of this war, this middle of this like rebirth and this awakening of who the fuck is Sean Whalen? Why am I here? Not how do I build $1 billion business? But God, why am I on this rock right now? What do you want from me? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to be doing? And it was terrifying going down some of these paths and starting to open up and having my coaches challenge me, share your heart on social media, share these things on social media. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable. It's scary. And I started to, and I did more and more and more. And I believe God has a hand in everything. And make a long story short, one day I sat down on my bed as my kids were getting ready for bed. And I shared this picture that I had of me holding my ex-wife's baby, which my ex-wife and I went through this horrendous divorce. And it was like, I had this moment where I was like, fuck, man, like no one has any idea like what this means to me. The years that I went through in war and battle with her, almost killing myself to get to a place where like I overcame that. I overcame the man, and I took this picture and I did this selfie and I sat down on my bed and I did what I hadn't done before. I just shared the truth. I just poured my soul out and I was like, just shared people with the darkness and how I was afraid. And I didn't know which way was forward and backwards and what to do. And I felt like my world was just on fire and chaos. That post went on to reach millions of people. It went viral. It went from like 100 fucking people, friends on Facebook, to 50,000 followers in 2 weeks. Fast forward to today, over 1 billion people have viewed my videos online. I have millions of followers, hundreds of millions of engagements and comments and shares and likes. And I attribute it all to literally doing the shit that I was scared to do. I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, you know what, today, let's do this social influencer thing today. How do I do it? Where's the book? Who's got the blueprint? I literally started sharing my shit. I started sharing what I was terrified to share. I opened up my heart. I opened up my mind. And I found two things. Number one, people resonated with it because they hadn't heard truth. They're just used to like absorbing and eating this smut that you see all day long. So then all of a sudden a dude comes along and shares his witness and he says God and fuck in the same sentence. They're like, people are like, wait a second, you can't do that. How do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but this is what God told me to say. And I really attribute to where we are today and how I feel today to that. I saw after months and months and months that millions of people resonated with the message, but I felt better. I just felt better sharing my truth. And some of it was good and some of it was bad. Some of it was light. Some of it was dark. Some of it was funny. Some of it was sad, but it was just me. It was me. Where I am today, what am I experiencing? Where am I? What's going on in my world? And I just started using social media almost as like this therapy, this outlet. And, here we are, 9 years later, 10 years later, and it's truly changed my life, but it's reached hundreds of millions of people, which is just as humbling as you could get. But every single person listening to this has that same calling. You have that same calling. The question is are you willing to answer the call? Are you willing to share the darkness? Are you willing to open yourself up? Because I guarantee you, whoever's listening to this, there are millions of people waiting for you to open up your mouth, waiting for you to share your story, waiting for you to start sharing your witness. And it will be scary. Like you said, it will be terrifying at times. Some of these things that I write, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Like, what the fuck? And those are the things that end up reaching millions and millions and millions of people.
The authenticity. God, man, I love it. Okay, brother, all I can do is tell you, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I am, golly, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful. That's all I got. And so what I can tell you is I'm grateful you answered the call. I'm grateful that you spoke up. I'm grateful for your movement. And I know that this is going to reach hundreds of thousands of lives. And hopefully they make
Thank you. Thanks for making this happen. Appreciate the invitation. Thanks for letting me share.
Appreciate you, brother. Much love.